She's an administrator and a manager whose experience spans 25 years. She's also an associate pastor of the Manna Prayer Ministries, that's Daily Manna, and a life coach. What would make a beautiful woman start an awareness walk? Stomp out. What experiences has she lived through and survived that has propelled her to do what she's doing today? Why is she so passionate about women who are going through domestic violence in whatever form? Join us as she tells us her story and how God brought her to where she is today and the purpose she's fulfilling today. My guest is LAILA Jane St. Matthew Daniel. Hello, may I call you
Yes,
LAILA?
of course.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Wonderful to have you.
It's a pleasure, yes.
When we spoke on the phone, I told you, I said, I love you.
Oh, you got me at a very good time, yes.
Wonderful for you to be here. Thank you so much for coming here to share your story with us.
Thank you.
Stomp Out.
Yes.
What is it about?
Well, it was, October is a domestic violence month internationally,
Okay.
and I decided with so many things had been happening, the Arolo case, the Absurep and everything, so I said, okay, let's have an advocacy awareness walk.
Okay.
And so I went to the Women's Affairs, and they were very helpful. And we got together a whole load of group of people, men included, to show that it's not every man that who beats his wife,
Or
that
kills his wife.
And some say real men don't
Hit a woman.
hit a woman. There are other ways. So it was a whole load of arrangements, you know, because that's the first time I did that. And Women Affairs really stood behind me because they sent out their women too. And it was fantastic because we walked from GRA. It was a long walk. I didn't know 5 kilometers was so long. We went through Obafemi Awolowo Way, the market, down to Allen Avenue, and then we walked down. And luckily, on that Thursday, it was Environmental Day.
Okay.
So at the time we were passing, a lot of people were standing in front of their shops. So the men were engaged too in the discussion, and we had handbills, and at the back we put some information, 15 things you should be aware of, you know. And I must say, it was a fantastic awareness walk, and we ended up at Alausa. And the permanent secretary of Women Affairs now addressed the participants who asked questions, explained what the Lagos State was doing, how Lagos State is passionate about, you know, putting in place structures for women and the youths, and how it's not even just for women and youth. That's when they explained the domestic violence law. It's for violence. So even the woman who beats up her husband is in trouble too as well. So the walk was very nice. Stomp Out, and I intend by the grace of God to make it a yearly program. Because from Abuja, from Port Harcourt, you know, people were interested. Some people came in from Kaduna and Abuja to join in the walk. And they then said that they would like a simultaneous one in those two areas. So I said, well, God willing. It wasn't me, it was him that pushed me to
even
it.
put the idea
To it, and how it was funded, how it went through, it was just miraculous.
Stomp Out. I don't think you just slept and woke up and the Spirit of God dropped it into your heart. Something must have propelled it. You know, the Bible says that God comforts us so that we can comfort others with the same comfort. have been comforted.
Yes.
And you can only empathize if you have walked the path.
Yes.
Have you walked the
path?
path?
Yes, I have walked the path of pain. And I call myself
the wounded healer. I heard. Somebody told me.
The wounded healer, yes.
So tell us the wounded parts.
Yes.
And then we can...
Because I have this MGO, clearly 1996. Yes. I had just started settling in from a background of violence. Okay. And so I'll take it from that part. Okay. 1996, and I got the name very clearly, Acts Generation. So I was new in walking in Christ. I was a greenhorn coming from a very strong Catholic background. So I asked my mentor, who was a realistic pastor, you understand, who understands that we are humans as opposed to wanting us to attain the end glory whilst we're in this body. So
I love the way you put it.
So, and he said to me, Mama, because he was younger, he said, this is powerful. I said, what's Acts Generation? So he said, that's the book of Acts. And it is a formula for even praying: adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. I said, really? Then that passed. And clearly, around the next year, I got Be Your Brother's Keeper. Okay. And I now took up the book of Acts. And that is a book that shows how the earlier Christians were. They were together. They watched in one accord. Which is not what we have here nowadays. I'm sorry to say, I've walked my walks in this Christendom.
Too fragmented.
God, we are too fragmented. God help us, you understand? God just help us from holier than thou attitudes and being too religious. So I said to myself, okay, all right. So that's what it's all about. Be your brother's keeper, the book of Acts. So that is how it now started. I was given a blueprint. It's just amazing. I was given a blueprint and I wrote everything down. It says, put, dreams, your ideas, your vision into paper, because at the set time, it will speak for itself. It will speak for itself. And it was so wide. And I said to myself, how am I going to do this? And here I am, a baby Christian, So it has evolved. I find that I move in the pathway of people who have been hurt, who are hurting, and who I can see that by their actions, there is a possibility they're going to hurt. So I've been dealing with diverse situations by myself, but suddenly God took out that side of it. Domestic violence, abuse, and trafficking. Took it out and focused on it, and I realized, out of all of this, that is the main focus. So I said, okay, because I realized that main focus actually embodies the whole situation. It's still hurting because you could be abused, and it's not that they're hitting you, you're emotionally abused. And that is the one that people can't see, especially if you have a charming husband and he has dealt with you emotionally, and then you are fragmented and he's there charming, and people now look at you and they believe that you are the devil.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We tell stories, and we love to hear stories. Most especially stories of human beings surviving trouble. And we all need the encouragement, discovering that others have been afflicted as we, and they have found a way to the other side. In stories are pain and struggles and failure.
Well, whatever, I accept it. You are still the God of my life.
And I didn't know I'm a sickler until I was age of 13.
I suffered.
And also of laughter. And wisdom.
You learn that without God you are nothing.
And grace.
There was grace that brought me this far, and only grace can lead me on.
And you don't have to be good with words to tell them powerfully.
Oh, see, they were like this. Take.
You know when you are coming, you want to enter somebody's
Yes.
house. Their legs were
On the window.
Mba. When they had OPC, the leg went back, bam. Father, I thank you.
Join us as we celebrate the story behind the glory, and that to the glory of God. Okay, you're welcome back. Yes.
Yes, so that's it. I have had a fragmented life, you understand? And it's only now that I realize that how can you talk about something or want to assist in something if you have not
Experienced it or walked the path.
walked the path.
Would you like to share some of your experiences with us?
Yeah. Compassion is good because let me just compassion. There are some people who God lays it on their heart too. He's given them a good life, but they have this passion to assist in diverse ways. Some go into widowhood, some go into domestic violence and things like that. Some because maybe they have all girls and they hear all these things happening. There's a stirring. And then some are like us that, you know, we have been in the forefront of violence, very serious violence. My late husband, he's now late, so he's gone to be with the Lord. When we got married, we came from already, he was married before I was, he had 2 kids, I had 3. And one would have thought that that's the perfect platform, 2 matured people, been through certain things, and we went to him because he was a lovable man. And that's something about men who lash out. They are fantastic human beings.
Fantastic lovers.
Lovers. In every way, charmers. They'll charm you out of your senses. And you know, and they're very nice. But hidden within that charm
it's just that's just a facade.
I call it underneath the
veneer. I read it.
Yes. There's so many things that goes on underneath the veneer. And it started off, you see, I tell people that most times you can actually see or sense what the other party is all about before you even get married. But we decide.
Some people will say he will change.
He will change.
Or I can change him.
No, it's female, you know, there is this thing, fix-it syndrome for women. You just, you know, it's the nurturing thing, and you just want to fix it. And depending on your character, it now becomes a challenge that I can change this. You know, it just takes a little bit of loving here, caring there, cooking here, doing this there. But it doesn't work that way. Do you understand me? It doesn't work that way. And I noticed that he was very possessive. Wanted to know where I was, wanted to know who I was talking to. When we go to parties, he would come at me that, you know, somebody was talking to me, or where did I go?
You were smiling at this person.
I was smiling at this person and everything. But I didn't realize that that is one of the traits. So when I talk about it, what's wrong with you now? Leave me alone. Then somebody will say, this man loves you. No, he loves you.
Like most of our women, that's, yes.
He loves you. And so I was not as, I was still young then, and I said to myself, loves me, okay. And then when he changes, later I used to call him Mr. Jekyll, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because when the switch comes, then when it finishes, he's a different person. But now, he had started now lashing out at me. And he put it as the transition, because he was abroad all the time, a successful doctor and everything. And you know how they try to get you to come back. And I think things did not work out the way he had expected. And he had to bring his investment and everything. And then that was the reason he would say that it was the frustration of Nigeria, that he's going to change, he's going to change. And looking back, if I knew what I knew now, especially my walk with God, I don't know whether the story would have been different. But there I was, a Catholic, you know, you just go to church, you fulfill all righteousness. And I remember the day that he wanted us to get married. I told him I didn't want to, that he was a horrible man. By this time we were living together. he was a horrible man that I didn't want to get married. And we should just be living together, you understand? And, you know, I was afraid. Something was holding. You see, we always get that.
There's something, your spirit always speaks to you. There's always, yes.
Speaks to you.
There's a knowing.
There is a knowing.
Yes, but then you ignore it because maybe
you
there's
ignore
something
it.
new.
Because that same knowing, even with what I know now, that's why you need to walk through to be able to know. I made another small mistake with that knowing last year. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
So by force, it was like a shotgun situation. He went and told everybody, so we now got married. And now it became worse. Any small thing. And he was like 6'3". And I was 3/4 my size then. You know, I had a small frame. And when they look at us, I always have this thing. I look younger than my age. So they will always think that, we used to laugh, that they'll think that I'm one small university student and this Agbalagba was taking me out. But he was a debonair gentleman. He was a fantastic guy, good looking, tall, you know, had everything. So whenever he went to report me, that's another thing that happens. When they've done things wrong, they quickly go, and you have erupted. They quickly go and talk to the person that you're close to. So by the time you come,
get there,
they finish
nobody
you
believes
totally.
you.
They finish you totally. Because they are born actors. And in the initial stage, I didn't know how to handle the thing because I wasn't used to, you know, shouting or things like that. And I used to cry. And he would come to me and say, if the kitchen is too hot for you, you know what to do. And I would cry again.
And I'm sure you loved him, you really
Yeah, I did, you understand. And then because of my background that I came in, I couldn't see myself leaving because I would seem like a failure.
And that's what is keeping a lot
of women in bondage. A lot of women are in that bondage because they don't, and another thing, he now, because being an administrator, he had a feed mill and everything, so we're now working together. So now I was not financially independent. He had got me into his circle. So now, where was I going to go to? How could I start? And if you don't have family support, you are in trouble. Friends, they can only do so much. I tell people, don't be angry with your friends if at a certain point they're not there for you, because sometimes it's difficult emotionally.
Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back.
Yes, as I was saying, friends, so don't get upset with them. You know, they've got their own cracks and everything. And once you don't have family support, because they believe that the guy is a fantastic guy and he will regale them of the so many things he wanted to do for me. Buy the tanker with oil, position me here, buy houses for me. Don't know why LAILA is behaving home and abroad. Doesn't know why I'm going on this way. It's just that there's a bit of a problem. That's the time that we're having austerity measures or whatever it is. And so all the families say, LAILA, Nisuru, they have a bit of patience. This man loves you. I said, is it love that he's beating me up and you are telling me that he's loving me? So they said, well, the thing there is maybe I should now have a child. Because we had decided 2, 3. That, look, it was enough, let us just say. So they said maybe he feels insecure because there's no bond. You know, there's this Nigerian thing that
a child is what
bonds a marriage. Or even when, as a professional, which I go through, I don't know about you, the man knows you are professionally capable to handle this, your integrity is sound, you are a straightforward, honest person, but now comes with another angle and says, we must have an affair. I must know that we are, you know,
so that you
won't run away.
You can trust
me. That's another story, you know, so that you can trust me. So I said, hey, so I said, okay. And then we now went through And as if God was talking again. But thank God the young lady is a fantastic girl. She's just finished her master's, so she's okay as a law person. So it took a while. So I had to be taking clomides and everything. And I kept telling her, I said, maybe God does not want this. So we forced through, and then I got pregnant. Did this man stop beating me?
Even with the pregnancy?
Even with the pregnancy.
So the pregnancy didn't even bond?
It didn't even bond. There was no bonding. No. So I tell people, I said, don't go and get pregnant and think the man is going to marry, because there's no bonding, no.
If I have a boy, he will love me.
It's a
For
lie.
every boy you have, another
woman is going to have 2 or 3 more.
Yes.
There is no bonding.
Yes.
You cannot use
Pregnant
substance or
yes.
to hold anybody. Because if he needs that to hold, or the woman too, there is already a crack somewhere. You understand? So even with the pregnancy, I was emotionally, I used to tell him, I said, you raped me emotionally and you beat me physically, you understand? And in the first few years, I didn't know how to handle it. I'd cry. So I got, from being confused, I went into another mode that most violent people, you now become a shadow of yourself. You are so scared to talk. There were times that whenever I heard that he was coming in through the gate, I'd be so afraid, and I would be trying to make sure that everything is in place. I would be so scared, and he'll still come in and find something wrong and bellow. He was a bully, you understand? Half my size, and he was a bully, and I'd be so scared, and I'd cry. And at the end of it all, he will still come and want to make love.
And you have to.
And you have to, or else you get into trouble. Double trouble, one God. You get into trouble. You understand?
Yes.
So I used to cry. Even sometimes when making love, I'd be crying inside of me, because I couldn't understand why I had to go through. That was when I learned how to drink. So I'll go outside to the garden and take wine, and I'll sit out there and I'll drink myself to a stupor. And he'll come out, he'll tell me, look at you. When you are ready, you come inside. He used to mock me. But then, it was a funny situation. It's what I now know is obsessive traits. He actually loved me to a fault. It was the day he came at me and took a knife. I was sitting down with the baby. The baby was with me, 3 months old. And he came at me, we were arguing, and he came at me with a knife. He went to the kitchen and he came out. And he said, if you say one word there, you're going to be in trouble. And I froze on my chair. I froze. Then he took that knife. You see, to kill is very easy. He took that knife and put it on my neck like this. If you move, I will kill you. No, I wasn't born again, but I just kept calling God. And I closed my eyes. Then I said, Bode is here. Bode, because of the child. Bode, because of the child. In fact, I'm relieving it, because of the child. And then he took the knife away. So I went to my dad. He wasn't dead then. He's dead now. And I told him, I said, sir, I can't stay in this marriage anymore. I can't stay. But he followed me. When he's going to beg, you see, a 6'3" man, when he comes down on the floor, he will convince everybody.
Sorry, I have to laugh.
No, he said, thank God we are laughing. He will convince everybody. Now, he will sometimes, when he has done it, he comes and I'm sitting down all black and blue and everything. Something that Dr. Jekyll will go, or Mr. Hyde will come. And then he will come down and hold me by the legs and say, my mother, please, because his mother had died. Please, begging me, Joe, Yami, Joe, I don't know what happens to me, Joe. Then I'll look at this person and I'll say to myself, maybe he will change. That's another phase. You keep hoping that he will change. Maybe he will change. But he will go to the hospital. I'll say I fell down. There was a time we went to Paris, and from London to Paris, and it was a choice. I used to be scared to even travel. It affects me when people see me now and they say, you don't like traveling. I say I've been places, but I chose not to anymore because I would rather stay at home than travel and be with this man ensconced together for 2 weeks, where I don't know whether he was going to beat me up, whether he was going to disgrace me in public or anything. I remember when he had to go to Singapore on mission, and my friends, I don't have many friends, but one or two thought I was crazy. He said all the jewelry, and he loved to buy me jewelry.
Yeah.
You understand? You know, these people, they know. After dealing with me, the travels will come with jewelry for me.
And then you forget.
I forget whatever. So they said, Singapore? Huh, all those diamonds and so precious stones and pearls and everything. I said I wasn't going. China and everything. I said he went and told everybody. That's it. He had this whole group that would, and they kept calling. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You have to beg. Just go. You know, spend his money. Just go. And I'd say, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere because all I could see, I couldn't see the material side. All I could see was the other side. Because when we went to France, and one day he was talking, and I just didn't answer, and I was trying to iron my clothes. The next thing, I got a big bang on my side, and I fell down. I said, what have I done to you now? But then what have I don't talk. You say I'm not talking. I talk. You say I'm talking. I talk too much. I said, what is it now? Leave me alone. You this horrible man. That's what I used to talk. Then I'll jump up. I say, you are a horrible man. You are a demon. You are a madman. And I'll get another slap for that again. You understand? But suddenly,
did you ever attempt to like hit him back? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Well, we can't take this whole story in one episode, but please join us to continue the story, because you'll be helping someone out there.
Definitely, that's why I'm here.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
now,
you.
viewers, thank you very much for sharing your time with us. We look forward to seeing you next week as we continue the story. If you're being beaten or battered emotionally, physically, sexually, somebody lived through it and has survived to tell the story. Join us next week as LAILA will continue the story. Thank you for your time. Have a great week ahead of you. My name is Uduaka Basi, meaning God's will, perfect will of God. Goodbye.
His word made flesh, he was